In honor of Global James Bond Day, we here decided to give you a two-fer. That's 2 reviews for the price of... Right. This is all free. Must look really stupid now. Right away, we're jumping into Goldfinger, the 17th entry into the Bond franchise. Released in 1995 and directed by Martin Campbell, we find Bond pitted against a former 00 agent, now turncoat Alec Trevelyan, or Sean Bean, who dies twice. Hey, spoilers! What? It's common knowledge that most of his characters die. Well, not in most things. But anyways, GoldenEye finds Bond dealing with the specter of the Cold War, hinted at in the opening credits. His mission is to stop Trevelyan and 2 rogue Russian officials from launching an EMP satellite that would, quote-unquote, send England back to the Stone Age, and cause a financial meltdown, among other things. Right away, we've got Bond on a mission in the interest of the Isles, and by extension the world, as he's trying to prevent Trevelyan from launching this attack. However, because this is a new Bond from the 90s, we've got some changes. MI6's officers are upgraded, along with Moneypenny and M. So, you know how M has been played by men in the past? Well, Dame Judi Dench clearly has the balls for the spot. And Pierce Brosnan replaces Tim Dalton as 007. Yeah, blame contract issues and the end of the Cold War. GoldenEye sets Bond up as even more of a sleazebag, or as M calls him, a sexist, misogynistic dinosaur, and a relic of the Cold War. I mean, he gets it on with an MI6 evaluator for apparently no reason except maybe a good review, toys around with Xenia, and then gets it on with Natalia, the Russian computer programmer and main Bond woman of the film, because it's standard operating procedure. What? And speaking of Xenia, played by Jean Grey or Famke Janssen, she just oozes this level of outrageousness and fetishism that isn't quite right for the film. From her last name of Onatop to the fact that some of her turn-ons include gunning people down with a machine gun and being tossed around the room, she is just too ridiculous a femme for the film. The film itself seems to be grasping at straws in the 2-hour, 10-minute runtime, with drawn-out chase scenes, ridiculous stunts, and a rise in innuendos, no pun intended. The prologue, which runs for about 11 minutes, is the longest one that I can remember in the film series up to this point in time. The first big stunt, after Bond jumps off what looks like Hoover Dam, is Bond driving a motorcycle off a cliff after a Cessna, and somehow he makes it into the Cessna and flies off safely. I don't even know. And then there's the Soviet tank chase scene through St. Petersburg, which causes wanton destruction. And, my god, are the near constant innuendos annoying, along with the For England moments in the conversations between Bond and Trevelyan. Other gripes include Trevelyan's piss-poor shooting, the fact that Joe Don Baker is back in the films, and the poor CGI or green screening. You'd expect a former MI6 agent to still have pretty good marksman skills, but whenever Trevelyan is shooting at Bond during their final showdown, he misses every single shot. Joe Don Baker, even though he played Whitaker in Dalton's first Bond outing, is back as CIA agent Jack Wade. I have no clue why. I'm not even going to bother calling continuity because he's probably fast asleep and doesn't give a crap. And as for the CGI, yes, it's a mid-90s film, but yes, it's also part of a fairly reputable franchise, so you'd expect the CGI or green screening to be fairly good, but it really doesn't hold up. The film also jumps more into product placement, like the obviously tricked-out BMW, which is barely in the film, and a Perrier truck. And there are also a few other discrete gadgets, but for a film and franchise series that prides itself on neat, cool gadgets and all, this film kind of skims over them. GoldenEye, named after Fleming's Jamaican estate, falters while trying to fit into prior Bond shoes and stay relevant at the same time through things like Baccarat, vodka martinis, globe hopping, and an Aston Martin. It's not good, but it's not bad. It's somewhat bearable. The theme song by Tina Turner, with lyrics by Bono on the Edge, somewhat helps, along with small bit parts and appearances from Hagrid and Nightcrawler do as well, but the techno take on the music doesn't sit too well with me. Next up is Roger Spottiswood's Tomorrow Never Dies, released in 1997, and is the 18th entry into the franchise. Bond is pitted against media mogul Elliot Carver, played by Jonathan Pryce, who aims to create World War III between the Isles and China through media control and manipulation. Great, so a faux Rupert Murdoch wants to start World War III? Shh, don't mention that name under this roof. But yeah, it's a new spin of sorts on what's now a familiar plot point in spy or action movies, even with, of course, the China versus UK callback of sorts to prior Bond films. The journalism angle lends itself to the adage, if it bleeds, it leads, and provides a number of punny lines, like, Bond is on his way to the bottom of the South China Sea. He's my new anchorman. But the film does a good job of toning down the ridiculousness for a tighter and more focused story in just under 2 hours, and sort of a return to form. Even the music has a familiar ring to it. And yeah, sure, the prologue is a whopping 17 minutes, but it's tighter and it fits in and connects with the overall plot of the movie more. And Bond ends up getting his mission, a little bit after that, not nearly an hour into the film like its predecessor chose to do. Anyways, Bond teamed up with Wei Lin, a Chinese agent played by Michelle Yeoh, and tangles with a Danish Oxford student, and Paris Carver, the current wife of Elliot and a former flame of Bond's, and she's played by Terry Hatcher. Needless to say, she succumbs once again to Bond's charms and warns him about Elliot, but she dies at the wishes of her uncaring and apparently unloving husband. I guess their relationship wasn't anything for the papers. Anyways, the stunts are more on the realistic and fun side, like Bond taking out a Russian black market, doing a halo jump, and escaping Carter's goons on a motorcycle through the streets of Shanghai while handcuffed to Wei Lin, even if there's a next to impossible slide under helicopter blades. And the BMW gets more screen time in this film thanks to a chase scene through a Hamburg parking garage, but it unfortunately meets its end by crashing into the window of an Avis car rental. So Tomorrow Never Dies is a return to form of sorts that improves upon the mess that was GoldenEye. You've got globe hopping, cool stunts, neat gadgets, and a Sheryl Crow theme song, among other things. However, an appearance by card thrower / magician extraordinaire Ricky Jay doesn't quite work, as he doesn't look like a Gupta. So Brosnan returns as Bond next week when he goes up against Rumpelstiltskin, who can't feel any pain, and a former flame over a nuclear submarine. So, we'll see you next week. And before we forget, a happy 50th birthday to Dr. No and the Bond franchise itself. Also, the theme song for Skyfall is out now. It is sung by the one and only Adele, and I'm definitely enjoying the soulful take of sorts that's kind of a throwback in my mind to the themes of Goldfinger and Diamonds Are Forever, among others. So take a listen, let me know what you think down there, and once again, we'll see you back here next week.